Elite high school basketball now resembles college, with top prep academies crisscrossing the country playing in competitions all in the pursuit of a national championship. The grind session has been at the forefront of this, and today I'm going to speak with Justin Peterson, the director of the junior grind session. That's right, this motto has made its way down to junior high, and I'm going to talk to Justin Peterson about that. And considering Justin is also an icon in Arizona youth basketball, we're going to talk Arizona hoops, the condition of youth basketball today, and his thoughts on the No Backboard Basketball League. All that and more on the No Backboard Basketball Show.
That we get back to talking about this community, because I think that's one way, and that I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, it may be the tagline you use there. If you change the game, change the community.
I'm the game changer, the mover, the shaker. With every basket, I'm a community maker. I'm the game changer, the mover, the shaker. With every basket, I'm a community maker.
Great question. So the No Backboard Basketball League, the vision of it is a new recreational basketball platform to provide opportunities for Black and brown individuals to actually own wealth creating assets in the sports space. Welcome to the No Backboard Basketball Show. I am your host, Mark Tee Armstrong, the inventor of Basketball the Remix, the modern interpretation of the original game, and founder of the No Backboard Basketball League. The No Backboard Basketball League is envisioned as an alternative basketball development platform, alternative basketball recreational platform, and alternative basketball entertainment platform, purposed to make a positive impact in the United States. If you want to learn more about my why behind the No Backboard Basketball League, visit Amazon, search No Backboard Basketball, and pick up my book, No Backboard Basketball, Remixing Basketball as a Catalyst for Change. We are building a community, and I encourage you to visit nobackboard.com, drop your email address, and join the community of supporters that are creating a new basketball experience here in the United States. And also consider supporting the effort. Go to nobackboard.store, pick up some gear, download some music, and be one of the first in your community to be rocking No Backboard basketball gear, listening and sharing No Backboard basketball music. Again, that's No Backboard Basketball Store, or you can buy me a cup of coffee or an adult beverage, and you'll find links in the descriptions for all of that. All right, today I'm sharing a conversation I had with Justin Peterson, who I consider an icon in Arizona youth basketball, with over 3 decades of service providing youth basketball services in Arizona. I used to use Justin's Just for Hooping leagues as a development league when I was running the basketball program over at American Leadership Academy, Gilbert North in Arizona. Recently, Justin became the director of the Junior Grind Session. This is a new effort by the Grind Session to extend their motto of a national high school prep academy circuit down to the junior high level. This is a longer than normal show, but it's rich conversation with Justin updating my map of reality on several key areas. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and let's get to it. Hey, JP, it's good to see you again, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me on the No Backboard Basketball Show.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. You have been you've been a strong supporter ever since the beginning, even before I really moved into No Backboard Basketball when I was over at American Leadership Gilbert North. I've been reflecting a little bit on that experience. I think if I was still there, I'll have a couple of state championships by now.
Yeah,
that's a different story.
I think you're right on that. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, so in the Valley, you're well known. I think from what I can understand, from my time over at when you came out to the event at the Kroc Center. What really touched my heart was when an older, not old like me, but a 20 something, 30 something young black man walks up to you and gives you a hug, and he's genuinely excited to see you. And I could tell from the interaction, like that's a genuine appreciation for you. And then you shared the story how you used to be over at the YMCA 7th Street and Broadway on the south side of Phoenix before they built the big Kroc Center. And so I say that to set the stage that you've been an important part of Arizona youth basketball for decades. So I would like you to start at the beginning and tell your story on who you are, with starting with Arizona basketball when you first started getting involved with youth sports in Arizona basketball.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, so just so you know, 14th Street and Broadway was the Salvation Army down there. So, and we did a lot of stuff down there, and now it's obviously the Kroc Center, which they've done a great job with that. I started basketball back in the day. I actually went to Scottsdale Saguaro, and then Scottsdale Community College, graduated ASU, Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. You know, everybody has a dream that they're going to be in the NBA. Well, you know, I'm a 5'2", and you know, so I knew that I wasn't going to make it to the next level. So I did the next best thing, and I got into basketball at Scottsdale Community College. I was the assistant athletic director and the PR director back in the day. I think I was 18, 19 years old, just had graduated from Saguaro, went over to Scottsdale. And that was when Pima was 2 lanes. That's how long ago that was. Yeah. So,
we both have gray. So do you mind framing it with some dates?
Yeah, I graduated from Scottsdale Saguaro in 1982. Went on to SCC for a few years, and then once again went on to ASU and finished up with Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. You know, people tell me, well, why weren't you a sports writer? You know, why didn't you do that? I pursued it as in the PR department, the public relations. So that's where I got, that's where I learned my focus and my key. So back in the day when I was actually at Scottsdale Community College, Basketball Congress International, BCI, which all the basketball guys know that it was a big thing here. Well, Mr. Walker actually used SCC and hired me and hired me to work the tournament. So, you know, I did the scoreboard and all that stuff. And then after the weekend, he was very impressed and asked me if I was interested in working with him. And, you know, I didn't have any interest or whatnot. So I turned him down about 10 times. So finally, after like the 11th time, I went to lunch with him, and it's history. I was with Basketball Congress International for 25 years. And for those of you that don't know really much about BCI out there, AAU was East Coast and AAU was huge. BCI was West Coast, and we had all the tournaments out here in Arizona. So, you know, we'd have 100, 150 teams out here during the summer, Riverside Church, Gauchos, all of those guys. So that's where I got my my foot in the door with basketball.
Now, I remember when I came to Arizona. So I came to Arizona in 2000s. I started getting involved with basketball around, I think, 2000 and 2007. And the feedback and so I believe when I started getting exposed to Arizona basketball, it was in between a hype period with BCI. And it seems like we were at the bottom of a lull of Arizona basketball, because now I think Arizona basketball has come back up on the radar. So talk a little bit about the BCI period. Who were some of the athletes that came through Arizona BCI at that time? And how were the tournaments, et cetera, set up then? Would you say it's set up similarly, or would you say the tournament scene is much different? But first, start off with just an overview of what BCI looked like back then.
So back then, back in the day, BCI, we dominated it, and the reason is because we had a bingo hall on 12th Street in Indian School, and in order for us to run bingo, we had to give money back to a nonprofit. So that's where Larry Walker started BCI BCA. And once again, we were the only thing in town, and we had this was before internet, website, and all that. So we had a 10,000 database mailing that we would send out mail twice a month. And I remember going down to the post office on Van Buren, taking the van and taking a ton of mail out. So that was our advantage. And plus, we were back in the day, we were able to give mileage to teams. So, for instance, we would give 25 cents a mile. So if you're coming from New York, you're actually making money to come out here and play. Now, with the NCAA ruling now and all that you can't do that. But that's why we were so dominant. And, we had we had the best tournaments, and we were at ASU Activity Center, and we had the top teams in the country. I'm talking, New York Riverside, where they brought Eric Barkley, Lamar Odom, Mike Bibby is huge out here that played BCI. When I left BCI, it kind of fizzled just because all of the, all the NCAA regulations you had to go through and whatnot. And also, too, people don't realize is that the internet, the web was pros and cons, because for us, once the internet came on, anybody could do a tournament. Mom and pops could do tournaments, and those tournaments popping up all over. So now, and then they were competing with us. And, and back in the day, we were the only thing in town, and everybody would qualify. Roy Sherry, bless his heart, he just passed away. He would go around and recruit 12 of the best players in the state, and that would be Arizona BCI. And then what Mr. Walker would do is he would pay for everything. So that team, Arizona BCI, with Hector Bejarano, Sam Ballard, they would travel around the U.S. and play, and everything was funded. So that's where that's where BCI got its start. And we had 150 players in the NBA that played through our system. Not that they would have made it without us. We just gave them an avenue to compete. And my biggest thing, and when you get to know me, is my big slogan is, if they're in the gym, they're off the streets. We got kids.
Man.
If they're in the gym, then they're off the streets. And we're just dealing with a lot of issues now. And I'm running a league right now. I have 64 teams in my league, and I'm so blessed to walk in the gym on a Saturday and know that for 1 hour, these kids are safe. So
What's up? And I know that's a genuine sentiment, not because you say it, because I see how people who've been through your programs respond to you. That's awesome. So we have the BCI era. What do you think happened? Because we've had a conversation before that. Again, I believe Arizona basketball has been on the upswing for a few years, definitely on the map. AZ, first we had Hillcrest make some noise at the national level. AZ Campus has been consistent. We know AZ Select on the West Coast is constantly performing well. Travel does well. Every year, AZ Select is getting kids scholarships. John Ortega over there doing what he does. Why do you think there was that period where it seemed like Arizona basketball not only winning the law, I think the reputation of Arizona basketball players took some hit with their toughness, etc. I would hear stories about Arizona basketball players at that time would leave the state and not really have good experiences and then right back home. What do you think happened? Because it sounds like the kids from the BCI experience, they were ready, obviously.
You got over 100 in the league who come through. What happened? What do you think that happened that caused that period of time in Arizona basketball when it was dead?
I think once again, it goes back to the internet and the website and that. So what happened is that you used to have one or two teams in the state. You'd have Arizona Stars, Arizona Heat, and then a couple other small organizations. And then it got to the point where everybody's going to start a program. So now you've got over 300 programs in the state basketball, and for me personally, it's saturated. And and now with the shoe companies get involved, and people have to realize that back in the day when BCI was BCI, there was no shoe companies involved. So you had the best of the best out here during the summer. Now you will never have that. And the reason is, and I'm not knocking anybody, but the reason is because now if you're a Nike shoe circuit, you're not going to go play on Adidas. You're not going to go play on Puma. So, you have the best Nike teams, you have the best Puma teams, you have the best Adidas teams, but they'll never play each other. So I just think that the game overall, it's saturated. Now, that's not a bad thing because at the end of the day, these kids are playing. But, you're not going to have an elite team where, you're going to have the 12 best kids in the state and they're going to go off and play in tournaments. Now, you do have some programs, like you said, the facility, Compass, those guys, Dream City is tremendous right now. And Compass is phenomenal. Phoenix, the facility, John Ortega's done a great job with those guys. I just think that now, it's just there's so many different opportunities that they can play. And I think there's maybe 5 or 6 circuits right now that teams and kids and parents have to decide what route they're going to do. And some of these circuits are not cheap. So I
Yes.
think that's where and I don't say we lost it, but it just got to the point where now parents, teams, coaches have choices what they want to do.
Yes, and that is the result of, well, what you're sharing is we're in this commercialization of youth sports. And what I hear you say is the internet actually, and I haven't considered this, but the internet actually played a role in this new youth basketball landscape with all these options, all these different teams out there. But let me ask you this, because you referred to how the NCAA rules change impacted your ability to do business a certain way. What is your thought overall on the NCAA's rule changes over time? Because my take is, as a result of the NCAA rules, they pretty much have started to funnel all of the talent into very narrow lanes where they can get exposure and get access to. And that has impacted at some level the ability for someone like you to do what you love and create an NCAA certified function right there in your backyard. What are your thoughts on that, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean the NCAA through the years it's evolved, and it's had good years and bad years. I just think that back in the day, you in order to get certified, you had to do all this paperwork and you had to get all your ducks in order. And it's the same now, but there's a lot more people that are doing NCAA events because once again, I can get on and submit to have an NCAA certified event, and 9 out of 10 you're going to get certified with that. And basically, for those that are out there that don't know, is there's certain periods where D1 coaches can actually come out and watch you play. And it's April, and I believe it's July now. Don't quote me on that because, like I said, the boys and the girls are two separate, and it varies every year. So I think that, we're talking about NCAA. I think the NIL deals are really changing the landscape of all sports, not just basketball. And it could be for the good, it could be for the not so good. So, but to answer your question on the NCAA, it evolves. I mean, they have rule changes and whatnot, and and you got to follow the rules. The bottom line.
That adjust. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So of late, historically, when I met you, you was running just for hooping, very large, very significant. It sounds like you still are running just for hooping, the leagues and tournaments, but you also have been tapped to do the junior grind session, which from my understanding is an extension of the grind session. How does operating the junior grind session differ from what you've been doing over the past decade with just for hooping?
It's pretty much. I mean, it's the same concept. So what it is that the junior grind, like you said, it's in conjunction with the grind session. The grind session, what that is that's a prep league, and that goes from October through March, and there's 22 stops, international and in the U.S. So there's about 40 guys teams and 18 girls teams, and these are prep teams. So what they do is they have to travel, and I believe they have to play in 8 events to qualify for the national championship. So what the grind did is they reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in running a junior grind. And at that point, I had just left the grounds, and I was going to take some time off of basketball, and they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to do a junior grind." So I've been, and I say trying because, it's difficult to be in different states every weekend and try and put events together, be it if the gyms are too expensive, you can't get gyms, you don't have enough teams, you have too many teams. So it's absolutely been a challenge for me. I think that I've had 3 events so far this year, and they've been successful. But, I'm trying to get one in Ontario March 1st and 2nd. I'm in Minnesota in April. So it's just a matter of just getting people to believe in it and then get it up and going. And eventually we'll have a junior grind national championship.
And with the junior grind session, is it similar to the high school, to the prep grind session, where that you may have a team that travels to a couple of different tournaments at the junior high level?
Exactly right. Just to just give you an example, so January 31st through February 2nd, we have the grind session here in Phoenix. So we're at Dream City and we're at AZ Compass. Well, I'm doing a junior grind at that same time, and I actually have Chicago Shy Prep from Chicago. It's one of the top 8th grade teams in the country. They're coming out to play in the junior grind, and they're actually going to play Friday night at 7:45 at Compass versus one of our top 8th grade teams, Arizona Unity. So that's going to be a great atmosphere on that. And it's just like I said, it's just a matter of putting it together and getting teams to buy in and come and play.
So pretty much we're seeing what I'm hearing is we're seeing the model at the high school level start to trickle down to the junior high level. Because I mentioned to you in one of my social media feeds, I saw a junior EYBL announcement or ad. So we're seeing this. We're seeing these models that worked at the high school level starting to get pushed down to the junior high level. Would you expect in the next 5 years that there may be the next league? I believe I think the Puma League's like a next. You have, but the different shoe companies or these different sessions, there'll be multiple junior high national type of leagues or tournaments.
Absolutely, you're already seeing that, and like you said, the Nike EYBL They've got the junior IBL or EYBL. Puma's got a younger circuit. Made Hoops is out there doing stuff for the younger kids. And what's
Yes.
happening is these teams that have older kids, they
Mhm.
actually have younger teams. So that's where the pieces fall in. Well, if you got a team, and I'll give you another example. Chi Prep is bringing their high school team out here, and they play right before the juniors Friday night. So it just, and that's straight across the board. If you go to if you look at the club programs, they don't have just one team. They have multiple teams. And what's happening is that's what the shoe companies are going after. They're going after the grassroots programs that are going to have the next Michael Jordan, the next KD, that if we get them in our shoes at that young age, now when they get to the next level, guess what they're going to be wearing? Guess who they're going to be promoting? But it actually starts at the grassroots, the second and third graders. And once the parents get involved at those young ages.
No, and I have my share of criticisms with regards to the commercialization of youth sports and the impact on the hood because of the increased cost, and it's more difficult for uh, families that don't have the cash for that child to get exposure. So that maybe they find a benefactor, right? But with that said, what I like about what I just heard is I think there's a difference between environment and culture. And I think at least the programs operating like you're mentioning, they have a high school and they have a junior high, those opportunities to create culture. I think a good example of that is AZ Compass. The reason AZ Compass year in, year out is building elite national teams is they have a culture that's been established, and they have junior high teams, they have the high school teams, they have a myriad of high school teams. So that talent is able to settle in at their level and perform well at the level that's best for them. But culture travel. And that's why I opened up. I said if I was still at American Leadership Academy, Gilbert North, we would have won a couple of state champions by now because I had established a strong culture. And we had very strong junior high teams. I mean, we took two CAA state championships, two Arizona middle school state
Yes.
championships. And as you saw, I didn't just work with the elite kids. I would come out there, do buy-in games, and bring kids that could barely chew gum and dribble, but work with them directly because I knew one of those kids are probably going to pop in a couple of years. They're going to make the leap. They're going to get it. So that's why I encourage families, if you're going to pursue this basketball thing, I think finding the right culture is way more important than being in what may be perceived as the right environment. So with that said, in 2025, you have several decades in the youth basketball game. What's your take on the health of youth basketball in the United States? Just overall.
To be honest with you, overall, I think that our kids they're playing too many tournaments. They're not. They're the fundamentals. We lack fundamentals, and you got teams that are playing 70, 80 games in the summer to win awards, and ultimately, one, these kids, their bodies need rest. And two is they just, use so much now. It's like every weekend they're playing. And I don't want to say it's not, for me, it's not a bad thing, because for me to run tournaments, I need those numbers. And when I run my leagues, I need those numbers. But when you see these kids that are, they're picking up their dribble at half court, they're not making the right moves. They're just not learning. Fundamentally, we are behind, and until we kind of put our foot down and say, okay, rather than games every weekend, let's practice. Let's practice more. Let's work on our shooting. Let's work on our our dribbling, our all that stuff. So I just
Yeah.
think that and you see it. I'm in the gym, every weekend, and I see it every weekend. And it's like, and we got trainers out there and everything. And my thing is, and back in the day is, and people ask me, well, what did you do? And I'm 5'2", so obviously I'm not going to be an elite player. But I used to go to Chaparral Park, okay, and there was one court that if you were top dog, you always played on that court. I never got on that court, but I always played against older guys and better guys. And that's what I think, that get back to basics. You so many times, I drive by empty courts outside, and back in the day, that's how we got our game. That's how we played.
Hey man, I just mentioned this on a previous show. I think 85% of my development was for free. The other, the 10% came from the coaches from high school, and the 5% came from an annual investment my mom would save up to send me to camps between sixth grade and 10th grade. But from the sixth grade through high school, I played against men. And the end result, high school Hall of Famer. My name is on a statue at my alma mater. My name, I'm still in the record book in several career categories. 3 decades after playing college basketball. And all of that is because I just went, and that's what I heard. So you want to get better, play against older kids, older men. And that's what I did.
Yep.
Hey, let's round this off, because all of that frames this last piece of the conversation great, because this picture behind me, you were there. You've been to 3 of my No Backboard Basketball events. You've shot on the hoops. And from the outset, you may not have grasped holistically what I'm asking you to do, but one thing you've made very clear is, if we can get kids shooting on these hoops at a young age, it will change the way that they shoot the ball, score the ball, etc. Just in general, I don't want to prod you too much, but from what's been your experience watching people play no backboard basketball, and what's your thoughts on what could happen if we had our own no backboard basketball gym to offer training, to do leagues, and provide a creative way to keep the kids off the streets?
Yes, and like I said, or like you said, I have been at three different of your functions, and every one of them, it was eye opening. And I think that walking in, people kind of question it, look at it, but at the grassroots, and I keep referring to grassroots. When I say grassroots, I'm talking about third graders, fourth graders. At that grassroots level, if these young boys and girls can learn to shoot without using a backboard, it would be tremendous once they get to that next level where they're not relying on that backboard, to help them. And I've been out at the Croc Center and the lab, and I shot around, and it's really, really good for everybody to to work on that stuff where you're shooting without a backboard. And I think your concept is, I think that once it gets off the ground, I think that it definitely will take off. And I'm hoping sooner than later, because it's definitely much needed.
Amen to that. Well, it will be sooner. We are doing a capital raise at the moment. So I do expect it sooner. We want to, the objective is to raise 500K. We're going to lease and just renovate some space in Phoenix. And we're going to put up a showcase gym, a single court, 2 shooting bays with our U hoops. Remember, in addition to no backboard, the hoop is 16 inches instead of 18 inches. Creates a bit more precision. Force the habit of the higher arc. That's really what makes the difference there. But now we're able to create a space where when people, hey, what is this No Backboard thing? Be an investor or someone who's looking for some unique training, there's a place for them to come. Hey, last question. You actually watched some pretty competitive guys get out there and compete in a tournament. What was your impression in watching these guys actually adapt? Not just that. You've been to 2 events where you saw guys play. Talk to me a little bit about how you saw athletes adapt to actually playing the game, and more so the high school kids, because I think the high school kids did a better job of adapting than the adults did.
Absolutely, yes, yep. The high school kids, they adapt it, and one thing is, it's a much quicker game. It's a much quicker game where you're inbounding the ball and you're not having to check it and all that. And like you said, you made the comment about the arc. The arch is huge in this concept. So those guys that have the rainbow shot, they are absolutely gonna thrive on that. And the last one you did at Edgeprise, and that was with the high school boys, you could tell, I could sit down and I could tell the kids that shot flat right off the bat, and then the kids that were accustomed to getting that little arch in, and it was you could tell right from the get-go. And I know that a couple of the bigs, they were getting frustrated because they were missing and everything. But at the end of the day, I think it was a great atmosphere for, I think you had 14, 15 guys out there. I just think it was a great atmosphere. And I guarantee you a couple of those guys went back to their practice and they made shots. They ed shots.
They lit it up. Absolutely. Hey, JP, man, I appreciate your time. We're going to wrap this up. You've been a tremendous supporter. I want to continue to support you the best I can. And ideally, man, we'll be able to coordinate something where we can get our hoops out to the lab and we can get your kids a Just for Hooping League jumping off on these by the end of the year. I'm open to that. I know you're open to that. We just need to coordinate and get the resources to make that happen.
Absolutely. I'm 100% behind you, my man.
All right, JP, Justin Peterson, you have a great day, man. Be blessed. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
No backboard.
No backboards, just sky where we aim. Swish a brick.